Hello there, beautiful souls, beautiful humans. Welcome to this beautiful exploration of feminine divine power and how to use it wisely. And I'm going to stick to what I called it, which is owning our feminine power to co-create our desired reality and trusting we won't abuse it. Abuse what? This power. So if you're new to me, I am RozyGlow. I am a multidimensional success coach. I'm a channel of divine grace. I am the founder of the Star Peace Movement, and I am here to inspire those of you who want to be heart-led, soul-influenced humans to co-create the most phenomenal impact in this world by actually creating the most wonderful conditions for your own personal life, creating the foundations for a healthy, multidimensional experience of living on this earth and reverberating that energy out as inspiration to others. Now, whatever impact you want to make in this world, your happiness, your fulfillment, your satisfaction is essential, because this is your energetic vibration. And this is why this is such an important topic, because we're hearing about the feminine rising. We're hearing about the re-empowerment of the feminine. Here I am today wearing a hat, wearing glasses, wearing a nice necklace, wearing a suit jacket, and even having a cleavage out. Now, what am I doing? Talking about temptation. What am I tempting you with? What have I got your attention with? We're going to be exploring this because we have so much societal, so much cultural, so much religious, so much familial, so much socioeconomic conditioning, gender conditioning, everything you could imagine, that for us to actually shift from a world where we're basically fear-driven to being love-driven, we've got a process to go through. And on the day that I'm recording this is St. Valentine's Day. So this is a day that many people wake up feeling super excited and hopeful, and then their hopes are dashed. Or this is a day that we pretend we're indifferent because we don't want to admit that actually we'd really like to have some love in our lives. Or maybe we've woken up feeling incredibly grateful, like I did today, that I have my wonderful husband with his arms around me, giving me the gift of his presence, his love, his commitment. And you know what? This is not the way it was. I was the ultimate magnet for toxic love. I kept having one relationship after another from as young as I remember, where it was either unrequited or, yeah, he wasn't that interested, wasn't that committed, wasn't that into me. And I was always longing rather than having. Even when I had someone in my life, I was looking around going, is this it? You know, does it get better than this? Am I supposed to be happy with this? You know, as a woman of great ambition, a woman with sensitivities, a woman who's multi-passionate, a woman who, for some people, would be too much. And, you know, I had that message from early on in my life. So I'm curious to know, what messages did you receive early on in your life that maybe have impacted how you feel about love, how you are feeling that others think about you, and particularly how you feel about being powerful? Have you been taught, for example, that women are manipulative, that we use our sort of sexiness to try and hook men in? Have you heard, for example, that men all just want to get another notch on their belt and they're not interested in a serious relationship? What's the kind of conditioning that you received early on in your life that I would call is gender war programming? Because we have been taught from a very, very long time to be suspicious of the other sex, and even to be suspicious of our own motives. In our mainstream religions, there's a lot around that. Okay, the patriarchal religions, there's a lot around that. So you know, I think that to unpack this fully, I'm just going to do my best just to really touch on the key points to help you see how the conditioning that you've actually received is impacting, one, whether you have big impact in this world, whether you feel safe to be powerful, whether you feel safe to be seen, whether you feel safe to, you know, affect the kind of change in this world that you really want to affect, or whether you're actually, you know, in a relationship where you're unhappy, you're not in a relationship because you keep attracting the wrong kind of love, and maybe, you know, you're wanting to upgrade the relationship you're currently in and take it to the next level. So if you're on YouTube when you catch this, because it will end up on YouTube, thank you for subscribing, thank you for the comments, thank you for the likes. And if you're here in my Manifesting Star Peace Utopia Facebook group, thank you for joining this space. This is where we co-create. And you know, I do want to explain, it's very important that as the founder of the Star Peace Movement, which is actually about inspiring world peace through personal peace, you know, we are living in a world where there's a lot of conflict externally, right? I know that many people won't believe peace is possible. And actually, I also feel deep down that people fear peace because they fear the boredom that will come from not having constant stress or struggle or some kind of conflict to overcome, because we've been wired to survive for so long. We don't remember what it's like to be wired to thrive. And, you know, as a result of that, we keep justifying what's going on in the collective as necessary, as the only way it can be. Now, take that to your personal life and whatever conflict's going on in you. on some level, my dear friend, you will be justifying why things have to be the way they are and they can't actually change. So I'm here to inspire in you a little bit of discomfort as I share through my own experience and my client success stories that actually things can change. All right, things do change, and things will change if you commit to that change. So you have to have an inspired vision. So hello, here's me inspiration. I am the inspiration for you today. I am married to my wonderful sacred union, divine counterpart, ascension partner, who I got married to 3 years ago now. He came into my life 9 years ago, and we got together 5 years ago. And you know what? All my dreams started to come true. Like literally, it felt like every day was Christmas. The better it gets, the better it gets. You know, when you wake up with a song in your heart and you're like, I don't have to feel bad about this. I can actually truly like allow myself to have this. I want this. This is amazing. Like, yes, right? Suddenly it was just like all the issues that I had in the world disappeared. Now, of course they didn't. Okay. I still had to bring money in. I still had to attract clients. I still had my daughter to work with and to help overcome the challenges we had. I still had family dramas. I still had all sorts of things going on. But this being my center allowed me to now know that I was safe and secure in my personal life. I was founded. That started with a journey inside of me. I want to make this clear. This wasn't about being saved. This is about the fact that my internal shifts allowed my masculine to come in and be a vibrational match for the version of me that could actually be in sacred union. And sacred union is an essential concept for us to actually explore, because it is about your relationship with yourself first and foremost, the different parts of yourself. It's the relationship between your soul and your human self. It's the relationship between the divine, the non-physical, and the physical. It's also the relationship between the shadow and the light within each of us. And this is probably the most overlooked element of sacred union, because it doesn't seem so important, and yet it is. If there are parts of you that you deny, that you reject, you abandon, you betray. Let's come back to temptation, because this is key. Let's come back to manipulation, because this is key. I don't want to accept I'm manipulative. I don't want to accept that I have temptational tendencies where I will, use my energy in such a way to try and get something. So we sweep all this stuff under the carpet, and because we do, we don't own it. And what happens is we attract those to us that show us our unprocessed or unowned parts. So maybe people who are manipulative, maybe people who say one thing and do another, maybe people that try to reassure you that actually they want something serious when deep down they don't. So the outer world is a reflection of our inner world, but not necessarily the inner world we know. It's often the inner world that's hidden from us. So it's important for us to be curious and to learn to not be judgmental. Now, for me, how did I get from a place where I was really not happy in love at all to actually being in a place where I could actually have the love I wanted? Part of it was accepting my shadow. This was a huge part. And so when I think it was 24, I had a tattooed on my back. And I had promised myself that I wasn't going to get a tattoo until I'd found something that I absolutely resonated with, like something that I thought, I really want this on my body. And it just so happened that I had a little tantric sex book. It was a little book, and it was a beautiful little book. And I stumbled across a page which had this image of a woman's back, and like just her bottom and her hair swinging. And it just said under it, she tempted the world into creation. And I thought, I like that. I'm going to have that. I like the idea of tempting the world into creation. And this is what I wanted to speak to, because it's like I stamped that on my body, right? Not a tramp stamp, but I decided that I wanted to be associated with using my energy, my capacity that could be seen either as manipulative or as empowering, to actually inspire change in others, to inspire creation of something new. And by that, in my world, that means inspiring the change from a fear-based reality to a love and trust-based reality, an adrenaline-based reality where we're just run by stress all the time and struggle, to an oxytocin-fueled reality where we're able to self-regulate our emotions, we're able to expect the best of people, to think the best, to be aligned with best outcomes, and actually as a result to attract them. And when stuff doesn't work out the way we want, or we anticipate, or we plan for, to be able to work that around so that we come out on top and we don't end up in a self-beating up, self-flagellation situation where we're reinstalling the shame program, reinstalling the blame program, reinstalling the guilt program, reinstalling the judgment program. So let's just start here. You're watching this video. What brought you? Was it my hat? Is it my fabulous glasses? What made you decide, oh, I'm going to say and see what she's got to say? Is it my lovely necklace? Is it that I've got a suit on and so I'm serious because I've got professional qualifications? Or is it my boobs? You know, what is it that brought you here? Which combination? If you want to comment, please do. Maybe it was my bright red hair. The point with this is we have this amazing opportunity through catching others' attention to inspire change in them. We get to be the example that allows someone to temporarily feel uncomfortable and to recognize something that's possible for them in you because of what you're saying, what you're showing, what you're doing. Now, as I come back to this gender war programming, and I want to really stick to what I said as well, so let me just get that up so we don't lose it. The question really is, how can we shift out of the guilt, shame, and blame conditioning around manipulating and tempting the masculine? We are here to empower through our allure, not to disempower. So how do we do this? Well, first of all, it's very important to question it. First of all, it's important to recognize that we all have, as I said, conditioning that makes us feel bad about the power that we have. Now, on some level, on a soul level, all of us, as part of us growing back into unity with the divine, go through a journey of learning what it's like to be the persecutor, to be the victim, to be the rescuer. We learn things from different angles to experience life in such a way that we can reintegrate different parts of us, right? So I'm saying this because on some level, all of us will have a memory of having abused our power. And on some level, all of us will have a memory of being persecuted for our power. So, you know, what we heard about the witches being burnt, for example, right, was that there were terrible, evil women that were casting spells on everybody and they had to be burned. Now, this is in the patriarchal era, right? So what was really going on? These were women that men didn't understand. Men were scared of because we had these claircognizant, clairvoyant, clairsentient, clairaudience skills where we just knew things without knowing why. We felt things without knowing why. We knew when our partners were having affairs on us. We knew how to heal. We knew how to not get pregnant. We knew all these things, which meant that we didn't need to be controlled. Now, that's very scary, right? When we're living in a society that is based on control. So if we go back a little bit further, we had the time of the matriarchal paradigm where, you know, it's easy for us to look back and go, oh, it was such a golden age. It was amazing. That's where we should all be back again, when women were ruling the world. And all I can say to you is, I don't believe deep down that was any more balanced than the patriarchal time, because if one sex is subjugating the other, if one is more powerful than the other, if they're not in balance, there's going to be a problem. So we've gone from matriarchy to patriarchy. We've suffered hugely. We've been indoctrinated with all sorts of conditioning that says we're bad, that we should hide our bodies, that actually it's not safe to be powerful. And as a result of that, we're really scared to step into our power because of the kind of attention we're going to attract. So what did you get told as a little girl or a boy? You know, don't wear a short skirt, don't wear lipstick. People will think you're after one thing. And what happens when you've had a few drinks and you know how to flirt and you know how to do things? I mean, I had the superpower of being able to attract any man I wanted for one night only. But that was a superpower that lasted like Cinderella, literally till the next day, right? And it's like, oh, now he's not around anymore. Because, you know, being able to tempt someone in for a short period of time and have something magical is not the same as actually being a vibrational match with someone in the longer term, right? So let's make this really practical for you. We are conditioned to believe we are intrinsically bad, okay? Sinful and cannot be trusted. Now, this is the women. What we say about the men, there's a whole load of other conditioning there, which we'll come to in a sec. We needed men to lead and control us so we would not be led astray by our passion and emotion. Consider the days when we had our wombs removed because we were hysterical. We were hysterical because we had emotion, and men didn't like us having emotion. Now, remember, this is the counter, if you like, to what was instigated, which back in the day, when women were ruling the world, let's say, were we really looking at the masculine in a reverent way, in a way where we had respect for them, we had respect for their power? We had respect for their strength, their wisdom, their knowledge. The sisterhood I've spoken to, when we tap into past life or soul memories, doesn't feel like that, right? So there was a backlash. You know, we all want to be respected. We all want to be revered. We all want to be honored for our gifts. Whatever our gender programming is, whatever our gender expression is, however we resonate, the key is for us to honor ourselves, respect our power, and learn how to use that power in such a way as to inspire and empower rather than manipulate and control. So this is where Temptress energy comes in. What is it? How does it actually work? If you see something beautiful and inspiring that, you know, turns your head and creates an emotion in you that allows you to feel something you haven't felt before, that expands your heart, that it invites you to appreciate beauty, is that a bad thing? Is that sinful? You know, some of the conditioning we're actually recovering from is that women basically were bad in the sense that we couldn't be trusted. And there's even religious conditioning that will say we should experience pain in childbirth for our sins, right? We've got all of this running around, running in the tapes of our background. We also have, as I said, this idea that, you know, it's bad for us to have power. It's bad for us to be able to actually impact others with our energy. And for us, it's all about how we own it. It's all about, can you trust yourself? Because when it comes to relationship now, this is about you trusting yourself to be able to attract something in that isn't going to be trying to control or manipulate you, because you aren't subconsciously trying to control or manipulate them. Do you get that? This is why exploring this other energy, which is, where is it okay and where isn't it? Where is it like allowable, acceptable? Where isn't it? So it all comes down to, am I trying to take your free will away? Am I trying to control you, to take the energy in such a way that you don't have a choice? Because that's the difference, isn't it? Between actually manipulating and controlling and inspiring change. And for us to actually have the kind of change we want in our own personal lives, we have to trust ourselves. We have to believe in the purity of our motives. We also have to understand that we might have had all sorts of control and manipulation tactics that we inherited from our parents. We saw their love programming. We saw how our society, our culture, our family operates. What are their patterns? Are they healthy? Are they not? Do they empower each other? Do they disempower each other? All of this is informing us as to whether it is safe to have what we want and to claim truly our intention, our desire, and to allow it to co-create. Now, this takes me back to what I said before about owning your shadow. It's owning the capacity you have to be able to control and manipulate, and then choosing not to. So here's the difference. When I am tuned in to source, when I'm tuned in to my soul, which is the first step of my program, and I'm actually in a place where I am connected to source energy, allowing it to flow through my body, and I'm radiating it out, then my light is shining in such a way that I am potentially turning heads without seeking to try and attach to anyone. I'm plugged into source. I'm radiating my energy because I'm tapped in, and therefore I'm a magnet for what I'm saying I want, right? Now, if I'm not tapped into source, what I'm doing is I'm seeking to get attention, to connect to others by plugging into them. How can I be useful to this person? How can I get this person's attention? How can I get this result? And so we're sending out hooks all the time that are actually about trying to feed off someone else's energy, which is what we know as, well, basically dysfunctional relationships, what's coming up, but codependent relationship. The world's full of codependent relationship. So that actual plugging outwards to connect to people in that way creates these kind of codependent relationships that we don't trust each other, because we know that's what we're doing. We're seeking to feed off the energy of the other rather than being plugged into an infinite supply and choosing to dance with the energy of another, to merge with the energy of another who is also sovereign in their own energy and is plugged into their highest frequencies, which I call highest self. So this is really how we kind of move beyond it, okay? This is how we move beyond the fear that we are controlling, manipulating, tempting, those astray, right? Taking them somewhere that isn't healthy, because we know the difference between trying to siphon energy off people so we get the attention, we get the recognition, we get the energy that makes us feel worthy and deserving, makes us feel that, yeah, that we can exist as we are, that it's okay as we are, and actually plugging into a place where we really own our sovereign energy, our purpose on this planet, our desire to experience something, and we radiate the energy that will allow us to be a vibrational match for that experience, because we know we're worthy, we're deserving of it, and we're receiving from ourselves, from source. Okay, source is the infinite supply. In the same way that on this planet now we recognize the difference between renewable and non-renewable sources of energy, you get what I'm talking about here. So you want to plug into your renewable, then you can shine your light in this world, and you know it's not coming from a place of temptation to try and hook in. Get it? That's key. All right. Otherwise, if you're not plugged into your higher self and you're putting out there your desires and your wants, you're coming from your lower octave. You're coming from your lower self. You're coming from the part of you that's just trying to get gratified. Okay. Nothing wrong with having desire. Nothing wrong with wanting to experience pleasure. Right. And that's the other place we have so much conditioning. So what is my overall point here? It is that we have all sorts of conditioning that actually makes us unavailable for what we want, because we feel bad for wanting what we want, because the conditioning tells us we're bad and we don't know another way. So what do we do about it? Well, we need to reprogram. We need to change that conditioning, right? That's the key. How do we go about doing it? Well, first of all, you have to have a desire for it. Second of all, you have to be aware of what the problem is, which we've just been talking about. And then it's about seeking the solution. And obviously, this is what I teach. So I'm very happy to let you know about my solution. I feel like I'd like to just paint the picture again, the bigger picture here, because when we're living in a world which is run by fear, by doubt, by judgment, by guilt, by blame, by shame, we are run by that too. That's what gets perpetuated from one cycle to the next, from one generation to the next. So for that to change, we're going to want to look at changing our programming around all those things and being willing to believe it's possible to shift from being fear dominant to being love dominant, to being fueled by the higher self, being fueled by oxytocin, the love hormone, being fueled by the highest good of all. So intending the best for everybody rather than trying to control and manipulate everyone so we can get what I want, right? If I'm tapped into an infinite source, I know there's plenty for everyone. I know that I've got a wonderful man in my life, and he's not the only one. There's plenty of others. Because here's the other thing that happens that's absolutely wow. When you shift your profile, your perception profile, your expectation of reality, everything around you changes. Once upon a time, when I wasn't in a very healthy relationship and when I was in non-relationships, I didn't have any healthy models of love around me. I didn't really see many loving couples around me. I didn't see people happy in relationship. I saw the opposite. I saw conflict. I saw suppressed rage and resentment and lots of arguing and lots of, I don't really want this. Why isn't he listening? You know, no one was happy, right? Now, as my relationship profile chart changed, as I decided, what happened to me was I was inspired. I was inspired by a book. I was also inspired by two couples that I met that they looked like they had what I wanted. And then I found a teacher who looked like she had what I wanted. And I wanted to find my own version of it, right? Because it's not about having what others have. It's about having your version of that, being inspired by what they have and saying, what do I want instead? And because I finally saw, because others around me started to pop up, it was possible. It wasn't just in the movies. I started wanting to find out how I could have it myself. And that's where the inspiration around other people's stories and books and videos like this, etc., are great, because they let you know it is possible. So when you know that it is possible, you then want to know how to actually achieve it. And that's what I'm going to go through now. Okay. So the way that we shift it is we have to basically have a true intention, a true desire to shift it. And as I said to you, the thing that happens is the lack then becomes the abundance. So in this, and just before I go into the how, I think it's important, all the people around me now, I invariably see happy couples. If I don't see a happy couple, I see a couple that is wanting to get happier. I'm seeing a couple that wants to overcome their challenges. They're not just slinging and pointing, you know, slinging mud at each other and pointing their fingers at each other. So I'm seeing that people are growing into all around me, people that maybe aren't doing spiritual work. They're going about their day-to-day business, but still, because in my world things have shifted and integrated, there's a new resonance, it impacts everyone else. And then I start to see them differently, and I start to see how others resonate with what I've got and how others don't, and who can I support and invite to that have what I have, who is doing it anyway, and they're my tribe that I gather with, and we grow brighter light together. So that's the thing. Remember, birds of a feather flock together. So one of the key things to be aware of is who you're hanging out with, right? What you're talking about. Are you talking about the problem, the lack? Are you actually speaking in such a way that what you want is always in the future? Are you talking about longing rather than having? Remember, your words are spells, right? Remember that as you speak, you create. You know, when you are actually in a place where, you know, you're around others who have what you want, how do you look at that? Is that then, oh, everyone else can get it, but I can't? Because often we do. We feel the envy. We feel the jealousy. Can you allow yourself to shift and start to see that if it's showing up for you, it's to let you know it's possible? Then it's about knowing that you can have it. How do you go about creating it? And this was a real game changer for me because, you know, I teach sacred union coaching. I teach multidimensional success coaching. Okay. I teach people, those who want to, how to put their highest self in control of co-creating their reality of their life rather than the programming that they inherited. That's what I got taught. That's what I then developed to my standards, and then I teach, right? So one thing I've learned is how important it is to remember we're not just physical beings, we're not just energy beings, we're not just our minds, we're not just our emotions, we're all of these things. And the complexity of a heart-centered awakening human is basically we exist on lots of levels. We're multidimensional, okay? We're coexisting with the world around us as well. So what's important is that we know how to set our vibration, how to put our soul in control, how to set our vibration. Now, these are things I didn't know. You know, back in the day, the reason that I developed the kind of work that I do is because I was run by fear and stress, and I was exhausted. And it didn't matter how much I felt like I was helping others, there was so little left for me that I couldn't help but wonder what was going on. You know, I'm running a business called Enjoy Yoga, and there's no joy in my life. You know, everyone else is allowed to have fun and relax and, you know, enjoy themselves. But no, I've got to work all the time to justify my existence. And, you know, everyone else I was trying to take care of because I didn't think people could afford my services. So I'd always try and make them cheaper. And in the end, I didn't have enough time because I wasn't valuing my own energy, right? I also didn't have enough money because I was so busy trying to look after everyone else. I wasn't looking at what I needed first. So you see how getting selfish to get selfless is so important, because you cannot actually give from an empty cup long term. It will drain you. It will make you sick mentally and physically. Now, you're no good to anyone on this planet dead and unhappy. Unhappy first, dead next, right? So the important thing is that this course that I teach, called Fearless, Loved Up and Limitless, was originally called Fearless, Empowered and Free to Be Me. And it's all about what I needed at the time. I needed to feel like I could actually work with fear. I could overcome doubt. I could actually come into a place where I could feel empowered with the energy that I had, the skills that I had, rather than feeling like I was constantly trying to control and manipulate others because I was in fear. And as a result of that, I could also be me authentically. I didn't have to keep being what I thought other people wanted me to be, people pleasing, in order to get love, right? So this is now, as we've shifted this program over years, because it's now since 2015, I first ran it, I redeveloped the program last year. And it's basically fearless, loved up and limitless, because this is what you get out of it. All of those things, the freedom to be yourself, okay, to get clear what that is, because you're stripping away the inauthentic, you're stripping away the conditioning, you're discovering what you're truly about, what you truly want. And then the limitless bit is part of that as well, because it's about the freedom to express your desire in this world. The loved up is all about the sacred union, and the fearless is about how you deal with the kind of emotions that normally would hold you back, the kind of stories in your head that would normally stop you, because that's your programming, that's your ego, that is what will try and keep you playing small. And none of us can have what we want if we continue to play small. We will never ever have it. All right. So, you know, you take 6 months with me in this kind of format to be able to deprogram and reprogram your subconscious, and to get your conscious mind aligned with your superconscious, which is your higher self, so that all parts of you are connected. right? And obviously I do one-to-one work as well, and we do it in a shorter period of time, because when we're one-to-one, we're kind of accelerating in that sense. But you know, wherever you are on this journey, the important thing is to know that there is something available to you, because more often than not, we feel like what we want is not available to us, and we'll make excuses as to why we can't actually have it, and why it's not going to work for us, or it's too expensive, or we've tried everything before, or you know, we don't feel worthy of it, we've got other things we need to spend our money on that are far more important than us. And as I said to you, like, when you realize your happiness is like the foundation of everyone else around you, especially as a mum or as a woman, you know, in the center of something, if you're the CEO, if you're running your own business, you're a mum in the home, dads, couples wanting to bring babies into this world, it's all about you being able to recognize that you're the center of it all. When you shift your vibe, you shift everything else. So the whole point of it is getting yourself on a journey. Now, I'm obviously talking about fearless, but getting yourself on a journey where you can deal with the bits of you that you inherited that are actually not supporting you to feel good about your power to co-create your reality, and to deal with those bits so that you can get all parts of you on board, so that you can then give yourself permission to have what you want, because that's what it takes to receive it. Giving yourself permission to have what you want, knowing you're worthy and deserving of it, and then aligning yourself with it, right? In all ways, your words, your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, your energy. Now, most of us, myself included, are doers. We're not very good at being in the energy of the change that we actually want. This is something else that the course gives you, is it gets you to tap into the feeling vibration of already having what you want, not longing for it, constantly putting yourself in the place where you are that version of you that can have what you want, so that ultimately you can speed up meeting the resistance that's getting in the way of you having what you want, so then you can actually have it, right? Now, often people come to me maybe because they've just ended a relationship because it really wasn't what they wanted, and they're fed up now. They actually want to do the work to get to the place where they can attract the kind of love that they want. What they don't know is the fact that sometimes it means that they have a different relationship with that same person. That I've had this happen so many times with my clients. Someone recently got married to the person that they'd split up with. I try to keep the anonymity of my clients as much as I can, because I respect that, you know, they've got their lives too. But ultimately, this lady had come to me because, you know, she wanted to change her relationship profile, and she also had very low self-worth. She was trying to do something for the women in her tribe, her culture, but in the end, she was putting herself last. So she had to go through this process of transformation, which she had no idea that while she was going through it with me, her ex-partner had decided to take matters into his own hands and to become the best version of himself too. So they then come together. Now they're married and they're expecting their first child. And she is a great inspiration to the women in her culture and her religion, and her country, to show that, you know, for her, she gets to be career woman and mother and wife, and that there's nothing there that's, you know, they're all allowed, but she's not born on this earth just to be a mother, just to be a wife. Get it? Now, when it comes to actually dealing with the reservations that come up with our subconscious, I think you have to have this sense of the fact that, you know, you're going to have resistance to what you want. Okay. So when I actually look at others that have come to me, people who have had similar stories to me, where they've kept attracting the wrong kind of guy or the wrong kind of girl, what they've had to get used to is the fact that as they shift their vibration, there's going to be wannabes that come towards them, right? And they're going to need to learn the discernment required to go, all right, is this person's words and actions lined up? Is this person an energetic match for what I want? Are they in alignment? And if they're not, they get to tweak and go, oh, okay, this is not the right thing. Say no to what you don't want, so you can actually say yes to what you do. Now, if I give you an example again of my Temptress energy, because I knew I had this program in me that could tempt anyone for one night to spend time with me, but they wouldn't stay. They weren't the relationship material. Because I'd had previous relationships where, you know, others had felt that they were scared that I'd run off with someone else, or that I wasn't fully committed myself, because I wasn't, you know, I wasn't with someone that I really wanted. The guys that wanted me, I didn't really want. And the guys that I really wanted didn't want me. Why was that? Because that was the relationship dynamic I grew up around. That was my dad's programming, right? So seeing that and being able to work through it allowed me to overcome that, and actually to stop wanting what didn't want me, right? And to start wanting what really suited me, and to recognize I could have someone that I felt really attracted to, who was also really good for me and was also available, right? Now, remember, when I first met my husband, he was not available. I had the choice then to give into the Temptress energy in a negative, lower octave and actually be another woman in his life, just not be the wife, not be the main partner, just be someone on the side. And I didn't want to be that. That wasn't what I wanted. So I had to say no to what I didn't want, to say yes to what I did. It was only my growing self-worth at the time that was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm worthy and deserving of more than that. If that's all I can have, it's not good enough. As much as I find you attractive, as much as I feel such a strong connection to you, you're not available to me. So please get available. So let me get more available for myself, which is what I did. And that's how this shifted. So I wanted to say that so you can see that it's an incremental thing. That doesn't mean the moment you go through deprogramming and reprogramming, your perfect match is going to show up in the perfect state. It might be them, it might not be them. But what every person that comes into your life will do is let you know where you have some refinement work to do. And that's the key. If you can allow that, if you can hold that, then wonderful things can actually happen. Now, honestly, like, love is what took me into learning how to co-create my reality consciously. But, you know, what we don't see is the byproducts of how, you know, you get out of your own way. You end up being in a position where your money flow improves, your opportunities improve, the type of people you work with improve, your health improves. You start to make better choices for yourself overall because you're not motivated anymore by the self beat up. And you're not motivated by that story of woe is me, which is the victim consciousness, which we all have in us, which is why I said to you, be mindful of how you show up in the world, what you're saying, and then what you're doing, of whether your focus is on the lack or on the result. All of this stuff is mindset stuff, and it's a part of the work that I do, but it's not the only part. It's essential. It's the key component to step 3 and step 5. But step 4 is like a full-on subconscious sweep, right? And I know that many people have done some kind of work. Maybe you've done RTT, maybe you've done belief encoding, emotion code, maybe, you know, you've done quantum healing, maybe you've done some kind of exploration. It could be a past life thing, could be a hypnosis thing, where you've tried to target a specific thing. Timeline therapy as well works with that. But the general sweep, if it hasn't been done, you know, the societal, the cultural, the religious, the socioeconomic, the familial conditioning, all of it, the general sweeps, they help to get rid of most of the debris. So then you can go deeper. If you just go deep without clearing most of the cloud storage, you can clear up a lovely folder in your computer, right? But the rest of it is operating on the old platform because you haven't cleared everything else up in resonance. So it's very important to remember that there is mindfulness, there's physical elements that are really important to incorporate: breath work, sound work, manifesting work, subconscious clearing. All of this is key, and this is all part of what I teach, because this is the multidimensional perspective that I've seen gives results again and again and again. Now, in terms of actually, you know, how does it actually work and who's it work for? For me, you just have to be willing. You have to be willing now. The pain has got so bad that you are now willing to have the solution that you're asking for. Okay, you are now willing to make the shift and allow yourself to actually have the solution that you're asking for. So that then leads you to the place of, what do I need to do next? And the next thing you want to do is actually, if you feel you'd benefit from going through a process like this, to shift the conditioning that really holds you in a place where you think much less of yourself than is going to be required for you to actually achieve the results you want in life and have that sense of achievement. Would it be useful to you to explore an option like this? Would it be useful for you to have a chat with me, for example, and see what you have done and what you haven't done, and how what I'm offering could actually benefit you or not? Because if it's not, I'll recommend something else if I can. If not, I'll let you know. I don't know what I could do to help you, right? But at this point, I've literally opened the doors to Fearless, Loved Up and Limitless. We're doing induction today. And for the next 5 people, I'm guaranteeing that I am going to be your personal coach, right? I'll be your main coach. But after that, I'm handing over because I'm moving into new realms. So this is your choice point, my beautiful friends. If you feel like you would like to come to the place, like me, where you are happy and good to use your energy for the highest good of all and the win-win-win and everything, then your next logical step would be to DM me. Okay, if you want to get started today, DM me, right? If not, book your call. I'm going to put a link in for the Sacred Union activation call and invite you to take that call, and then we can have a chat about the next steps from there, because when you can see where you are and where you want to be, then we can see the solutions, right? Now, if you're someone who's had a sacred union call and you haven't had a desire mapping call, then that invitation is there to you too. But ultimately, this is time now. Times like today are the days that get us to go, you know what, I'm done with this. I want something else. So if you have any questions based on what I've said today, can you please bring them in? Because my next Q&A, my psychic Q&A, will be based on the questions that come up. So I invite you, please, just to step forward with it, because now is your time to be putting yourself first, not just for you and for your own happiness, but actually for how this reverberates around the world. And, you know, if it really means to you, like for you, you really, really, really want to have that love. You want to make the shift so that you can live the rest of your life in a place where you're good with yourself and you have a relationship that reflects how good you are in you. Then this is what we're talking about, because it's what allows you to show up in your authority and your balanced power in this world. That's what we're doing. I love you loads. You are amazing. And I look forward to hearing your feedback. Remember to book that call or DM me. It all starts today. You're amazing.